Yeah. So next year I'm going to be fishing the Bassmaster Elite Series.
Tons of movement and shaking up and things happening in the bass professional world this week. It's surprising some of the big names that are moving from one place to another, and we're going to cover all that right here so you don't have to go and look at all the different rosters of the BPT and the MLF and the Bassmaster EQ. I've done it all, compiled it. We'll run through some of the data, and you'll see exactly what's happening, and I'll save you a bunch of time. You're going to be surprised. And there's also a few names that are not accounted for, and we'll talk about those ones too. What's going to happen to those anglers that are no longer on anybody's tour? So quick recap from one of our recent videos. We ran through all the math of the BPT. There will be a link down in the video description. If you want to check that one out, get caught up on what happened there. And what really started this shakeup is from this list. So when we last left this saga and story, these anglers down here in red were the ones facing the cut. Crete, Hawk, Horton, Jordan, Duckett, Crochet, Biffle, McClelland. They shouldn't have been coming back. Well, now we got the BPT roster recently released, and what we found out, here are the anglers missing from it. We already knew Van Dam had retired. Jordan Lee accepted a Legends exemption on the heels of the Larry Nixon retirement from Bassmaster. So that was some interesting news. Also, Brad Holman retired from Bassmaster this week. So that potentially saves somebody that was towards the bottom of the elite qualification list that they can return now, but we don't know who that was. So other big names not on the BPT list. Randall Tharp did a video, announced going to the EQs. Cody Meyer, Josh Butler, Cliff Pace did a video on his Instagram if you want to check that out. Both Tharp and Pace videos are worth checking out. They're interesting. They give you their reasons about the inconsistencies of BPT, always changing, enforcement of regulations. Just kind of like, hey, we're tired of the BS. Time for a new change here. Going to go try to requalify for the Bassmaster Elite Series.
But I left at 3 for a 22-hour drive home, and I called Sarah at 7 o'clock that morning. I said, that'll be my last BPT event.
Russ Lane, Brett Height, all on the Bassmaster Open EQ list, the 155 anglers on that list. We're going to break that down in more detail and give you a rundown of everybody that's on the 155 EQ list for the 2024 Bassmaster Opens. A couple names on here, notable. Mitch Crane, I kind of hinted last time that he announced in a Todd Castledine live chat he was not coming back, but I don't see him on the Bassmaster EQ list, so I don't know if that means he's MPFL or out. Kind of sound like it was opens or nothing for him, so I wonder if he's reevaluating his decisions in life and maybe just giving up pro bass fishing and going to do something else, but only time will tell. Haven't seen anything on social media on that. Jeff Crete, based on his Instagram, I'm pretty sure he's just going to live his best life in the salt and have a good time on his ocean boat. Roy Hawk, didn't see him on the EQ list. Don't know if he's going to go back to the West Coast, fish regionally, show up on the MPFL. I doubt that he's going to the Invitationals, MLF, but we will see. Timmy Horton, I believe, is retired now. He was planning to retire like a season or two, but he keeps bumping back. But I think now I'm expecting Timmy Horton's actually retired. And then Tommy Biffle, also on the list. What's up with that? He did not show up on the elite or the Open EQs. To my knowledge, he would not have any legend exemptions with Bassmaster. I doubt he would go to MLF Invitationals because he could have gotten back into the BPT based on what happened, and we'll talk about that. I don't know. I just don't see him fishing the MPFL, but maybe. There'll be a Tommy Biffle watch, and we'll hopefully cover that in a future video. But maybe he's just going to go crappie fishing full-time, guiding crappies. I think if you want to go fishing with Tommy Biffle, you can book him crappie fishing. The other big news, Bobby Lane left the Bassmaster Open EQ to return to the BPT on his Red Crest exemption, which this is the first anybody outside of maybe BPT anglers have heard about a Red Crest exemption. So it's kind of like the legend exemptions for Bassmaster, but I don't know if they just made that up. But it's kind of like Jordan Lee and Bobby Lane traded places in the night and swapped exemptions. So 1 year, Bobby Lane misses the Open EQs by 1 spot, and he's back fishing the BPT. I can only imagine that he's going to be able to carry some of his lifetime average in so that he's not facing a one and done like other BPT rookies. We will find out. We don't really know on that situation. So speaking of rookies, we looked at the rookies last time. These 7 anglers here we talked about, they were the ones that qualified through finishing in the top 8 of the MLF last season. They're set up where they basically have to have one banger season or they're not going to qualify for the 2025 BPT under the 35 angler cut that we're, at least that's what the projections are now. We'll see if that changes. I know there's some rumblings that they might adjust some of that stuff and that might change yet, but we don't know that yet. So then basically after they worked down the list of the anglers that were supposed to get cut, guys like Kelly Jordan, Boyd Duckett, and Cliff Crochet moved back up, and they're fishing the BPT again after they would have been below the cut line. And then with the others dropping out for whatever reasons, personal reasons, disgruntled with the BPT, want to get back to bass, etc., that opened up an additional amount of spots here. So these 5 MLF anglers got pulled up. So these were the guys 9th through 13th in the MLF Invitational. So they basically went down the list and teched the next 5 guys. Basically, after all the exodus of the BPT, they had to go and get 3 or 4 anglers that would have been out, but they let them come back in from the BPT field, and then they went 5 additional anglers down to fill their 80 angler field for 2024. That kind of sums up the BPT exodus. And who's refilling the BPT field? Let's jump over and talk about the Open EQs. Open EQs, 155 anglers. That's down from like 173 that signed up for all 9 last year. That number maybe could fluctuate a little bit. Maybe there'll be a couple more added. That's still a healthy number signing up for the Bassmaster EQs going into the 2024 season. And here's kind of a breakdown of what that looks like. They've got 81 anglers returning. So basically of the 170, so half of them are coming back. Half of them were 1 season and done, and another half are coming back to try again in 2024. We've got about 20 positions from the MLF Invitationals jumping over to the EQs, about 7 of the anglers that left the BPT entering the Open EQs, a couple of college anglers, a couple of elites that got cut. We'll touch on those that are going to try to re-enter through the Open EQs, a BFL American, a Bass Nation qualifier that basically gets their entry fees paid through that, and then 41 other anglers that just want to attempt the Opens and fish all 9. Here are your 7 BPT anglers that we had already touched on. Gleason and Klaus are your 2 anglers returning, trying to requalify to the elites after dropping out or after falling below the requalification line for 2024. And then all these anglers in green here are basically your returning EQ anglers. There's definitely a lot of big names in here like Ish Monroe, Joey Nania, Sam George, guys that had just missed it last year. Trevor McKinney, Kenta Kimura, just loves to fish the Opens on top of the Elite Series. Several Japanese anglers. You got Clark Ream, Garrett Paquette, Chad Grigsby, Keith Tuma, Cannon just missed it. You got everybody's favorite BTL Matt Pangrek doing another stint. Kyle Austin, a lot of interesting anglers here that were really close. JT Tompkins' brother Jacob Tompkins. Lots of interesting. And then we have in orange here kind of all the anglers that are moving over from MLF Invitationals. Galelli was basically the first guy that didn't get into the BPT when they went down that extra 5. Notably Jim Moyna from Minnesota, Ty Au, Andrew Loberg, some big names here. You'll see other ones that you recognize in here as well. Tristan McCormick, Nick Trim from La Crosse, Wisconsin, or Onalaska, Wisconsin. You got Josh Wiesner, who is the Bass Nation 3rd overall, so he gets his chance to take a shot at the Open EQs. Emil Wagner, who previous guest on one of my live streams, BFL All-American winner, almost won the Toyota Championship. Tucker Smith, Easton Fothergill, the 2 finalists in the college bracket. And then there's several other stout names on the list. Some of you may know, some of you don't, but that's the rest of the open field there. And you can see the full list on bassmaster.com as well. Kind of give you a breakdown here of the states. 21 from Texas, Alabama, it's got 16. Minnesota, my guys got 6 anglers fishing. So you can kind of see the breakout here. Another surprising thing, there's 5 anglers from Japan fishing all 9 Open EQs and 3 from Canada. So that's the makeup of the 155 angler field. So we haven't seen the Bassmaster Elite Series field come out yet. We did just see that David Fritz just announced his retirement literally before I was recording this video. So that'll see, does that open another legend exemption? Does that wait till next year? We'll see. Lots of things moving and shaking. We also haven't seen the MPFL roster announcement. Consider subscribing to this channel, and when I do a video on everything finals, maybe we find out where a couple of these other anglers pop up. We'll do a video and kind of finalize what is it going to look like going into 2024, which is going to be an exciting season to watch on the professional fishing side. If you're at all curious about the big moves from MLF and what that was all about that started this whole thing, check this video on the screen right here.